Hello and welcome to the latest edition of the Madaxeman.com podcast. This week we've got a special 4-part multimedia multi-format extravaganza of a podcast which is being released simultaneously online, on YouTube and through the Podbean and iTunes networks. Basically, whatever you do, wherever you live, wherever you go, there is no escape from Madaxeman.com this month. So why not just dive in, settle back and listen as I'm joined by my Art de la Guerre doubles partner Adam to review our performance and, more importantly, the performance of our brand new first time on the table Samurai Army at the recent Burton Doubles competition. This week we're also eating and reviewing a curry in a box ready meal from Adam's local Asda, and we're also having a drink and attempting to make vaguely informed comment on a range of hipster beers, all of which are available from honestbrew.co.uk. So whatever format or device you're streaming, listening or even watching this on, sit back as we crack open some tinnies and enjoy the battle and enjoy the banter. We're back online with the Madaxeman.com podcast, and I'm here with Adam.
Hello.
Hello, Adam. And we're here to talk you through, in a video and audio podcast that also features online multimedia extravaganza with beer and food, the debut of the much-trailed Samurai Army and also the much-trailed Samurai Terrain at the recent Burton Doubles.
Fantastic. Now, first things first, let's get our priorities right. Do you want to introduce the first two beers we will be reviewing?
Oh, yes, actually, yes, because this is Burton. We are drinking beer at the same time here. This isn't particularly Burton-esque beer. I think these are much more hipster type beers in a can.
Because that's the type of guys we are.
That's the kind of guys we are. I've got Hackney Brewery's Pushy Jet IPA, which is a heavily hopped IPA, unfiltered and unfined for bigger flavour, with hazy citrus tropical flavours. And we'll just listen to this one. That's it on the table, and here we go. That's what it sounds being opened.
Fantastic.
Let's get a glass and we'll see what it sounds like being poured. Ooh. Actually, yes, that is a little bit cloudy actually. That's not necessarily my normal preference, but I'm sure that will be that'll be nice later on. You can hear it fizzing gently. Possibly. We'll move that away. And Adam, talk me through your beer.
I am going through the Hackney Breweries again. Hop stuff for our session. Hop stuff. I'm not sure.
A 4-hour session. Okay.
It's quite a small can.
Actually, it's got Arsenal on the top. Look at that.
It's born on the Royal Arsenal. Apparently.
Must be for you. Couldn't be better.
I'm not overly keen on the poor pun, but it does have cannon on, which is always a good sign. So
Arsenal,
here we go.
It's quick. That's going to have to be a slurp, isn't it?
No,
it's going to be proper. I'm pouring. You're going for that. That's more of a gluggy pour, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Is that one fizzing as well?
Yeah, decent head.
Yeah, very clear, very clear.
Quite a light.
Yeah. Mine just looks chewy. Oh, you've got the whole can in there. Very good. And I'll just fill up mine as well. So, on with the podcast. Here we go. Cheers. Obviously, we don't encourage drinking, but we do it occasionally.
Fine. It's fine. Everything in moderation.
Good. So how is your beer? Is it first taste?
It's quite a light, quite hoppy actually. Yeah, which you would expect. It's quite a light, fizzy beer. So it's quite nice. Nothing outrageously good, but yeah, it's quaffable.
Looks a bit lagery. Okay, let's go for Pushy Jet Chewy.
Oh, I see what you mean about
chewy IPA.
Cloudy.
Yes. Yeah, it's not overly chewy actually. That's quite civilised. Little bit. Yeah.
One thing that is odd is I thought all the beers you were bringing were lagers, so that's why they're chilled from the fridge because I put them in the fridge. So.
But yeah, hipster IPA could be a bit of anything. So, right. Well, maybe we better talk about the game, as some people have been watching this on screen on YouTube for about 3 minutes now without any sight of what we're talking about.
Right. So as you said, it's Burton, and we took the Samurai. Now, the first important thing to say is, or to ask really, is, Tim, when we were looking at trying to win this competition, what were the thought processes going through your head through the choice of army and army design?
I don't think the winning the competition really came into it at all in any way, shape or form. This was the first army. Oh, that's good, isn't it? The first army I've ever had professionally painted for me. All my other stuff that you've seen has been done by me, and as kind of a birthday present to myself, I thought, let's get Samurai painted. I've been avoiding buying it for years because I've always known it's been beyond me to do a proper job on it. which I think might have been one of the beers we had in Burton. Oh no, that's from the southwest. Sorry, that's Truro or something like that, St Austell. But so it's getting a proper samurai painted, which I ordered back in September last year, and then it took longer to paint than possibly I thought, but the end result was, well, as you see, was very good. And the army finally actually got delivered, literally on the morning of the competition, about 9:15 for a 9:30 start. So very much in the nick of time. And that purchasing, procurement, specification, shipping to Sri Lanka or something, shipping back, a piece of it really very much defined the army list, because well, we talked about the army then after that small commercial break, and onto the game, really. Well, we set up, having got the stuff out the box. I think we actually magna-based it during the deployment, because it didn't come magna-based, but luckily I brought some magna-base and a craft knife with me to do that, and we did have enough of it. And we were facing, which is ideal when you've never played the army before, never put it on table, not even sure how the list composition works, you're just using whatever you bought. We played another samurai with people who everybody seemed to say to us, these guys have played with this army before a lot.
Yeah, it's I was chatting to someone that from the same pub as people who were playing, and he said, oh yeah, they use they're really good with the samurai, they've used it a lot. So
that wasn't a good start, was it? Really? It wasn't a good start. No, not at all. No. So this was it. This was the first game. Lots of troops. You've got lots of troops here, which are theirs. Lots of troops here, which are ours, and a beautiful village from a Shiro model terrain. And you can see the waterway wall and some expensive trees that we got. So just working from right to left here, a small commander warrior monks who were medium foot, turned a cutting weapon.
Perfect for the village.
Perfect for the village. This was a bigger command. Some of these are heavy foot. You can see they're slightly smaller. We had 4 bases of elite heavy foot, turned a cutting weapon, proper samurai. I suspect those were 3 bowmen, and these were 2 medium swordsmen, all elite. I just maxed out the elite because I'd just not bought that many more figures, so making it elite was fine. A couple of those Ashigaru types to do it, and then over to your bit. This was your section of the table. That must have been the medium foot, surely, because your cavalry are out on the wing.
Yeah, there's a medium foot pointing at a field, textbook, and on the outside of that, we massed all our cavalry.
Yeah, so it's pretty straightforward. Their cavalry were there. Now that looked like a bigger cavalry command than we had.
They did have more cavalry, but they've kind of got a gap here that we've filled with our troops. So our plan was basically to win on our left, wasn't it?
Well, on your part of the table, yeah, because I clearly wasn't going to make much of a mess of this terrain here. So into this, which is a much better shot of the wall. There are instructions on the website how to make this, and the warrior monks have made it pretty much up to the edge of the town. These people have crept up. This isn't cattle. This is an ambush marker that we borrowed because we forgot to get ambush markers. This is cattle. This is a side chariot. So not a great deal's happened here.
For people, do you want to point out what you mean by this is cattle? It's a scythe chariot.
Yes, sorry. There's an expendable element in Art de la Guerre. Usually it means a scythe chariot, but the Japanese samurai had herds of stampeding cows that were driven towards the enemy in a fairly uncontrolled way, and we'll see how they performed later. So this is a slightly better picture. I was a little bit off with the white balance on the camera. So very much, but the 2 medium swordsmen up against the edge of the terrain hopefully stops any mounted troops doing any mischief to them. Then fitted up with the solid guys, and we've got a bit of a face-off here. I think they had bow-armed proper samurai, so our guys are not quite as good. Not desperately keen to push forward and get an engagement there in case these guys could break through. So this was already looking like a bit of a holding back, and hopefully not take too many troops off the table too early, given how much I'd just paid for them and how long I'd waited for them. So here, this is you, isn't it? This is you with the cavalry, the light horse, a couple of bits, and you can see those troops here.
All flooding forwards. As I say, on the far left we were outnumbered in cavalry, but we had here a great, and again these are sort of like elite bow samurai, so they're actually quite good. So out here a bit scarier, but here this is where our main push came from, and this is where we were hoping to win the game.
So I guess getting the bowmen up against their cavalry hopefully helps you force the issue there a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Was that just the plan, or was that just the way they ended up?
I thought we talked
Definitely
about what our plan was going to be.
Definitely the plan.
And that was kind of it.
And then it looks straight away that we're charging forwards, and these two lines are almost in combat. Were you surprised there? Because there's a lot of light horse there, and you're extending this with cavalry. I think that's the medium cavalry, isn't it? The one with the yellow banner
on the end. Well, so I was looking to chase off their light horse, and I was looking.
But they didn't. They didn't run away.
Well, no. What was interesting was because as well as mounted troops here, on just inside we had Bow, and I thought he would get really scared
down here
and skirmish back because in the longer term
the Bow is shooting over here.
So I was
magic arrow noises.
I thought he was going to skirmish back, so I had to push hard to try and pin him down and catch him. But he did something that surprised me.
Okay, so you're coming. You're here. The two lines are closing in on each other.
Mm-hmm.
You're doing some shooting against this guy. Then all of a sudden,
he charges in.
He charged you.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. That sorts things out.
Which gave him an immediate advantage because our bow's slightly too far away. So
actually, the bows had not done any damage to this lot.
Storm.
And so you've got that's another command's cavalry, isn't it? The two red flags were from another command. So I suppose you've got a bit more command and control here than he has.
Mm-hmm.
So how did this? Oh, markers.
That's how it went. But look, markers as
true.
well.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3 at the back there. Is that a marker? Maybe not. So pretty much a brutal mixed cavalry thing.
He leapt in with a bit of an advantage, and he won. He got a little bit ahead, really, I suppose.
Okay. And so here we're back in the middle. So these bits were my guys. I'd spread these heavy infantry out. They're super tough. They got 4 hits, and we were slightly outnumbered. I was slightly outnumbered here, but I thought better to spread these guys out, create room for the cows, get the terrible pun in about that, and think that these guys can probably tough it out against slightly less dense enemy, and see if these people sort of intimidate him and stop him, because that was developing quite quickly, and I really wanted to see how this was.
Yeah, and I think it's like they take 4 hits and they're elite, so they're going to hang around for a while.
They're going to hang around for a long time. And these are the peasants at the back, so clearly these go with the warrior monks, but with the warrior monks stuck, not doing much in the town, these guys moved up as a second reserve line just in case they were needed. So here, this is the bit we've not really seen before. This is the join between your cavalry command and the centre. This was the centre here, and I think your cavalry command's over here.
So the cavalry's just to the left where the arrow is, and we're pushing the bows forwards because in the field ahead of us they're a target because there's less of them than us. So this is where we're looking forward to push through for the win.
Okay, so you got one there. Yeah, you got 6 against 4, haven't you?
And one peeled off to go into the flank of his cavalry because his initial charge gave him an advantage.
Ah, that's the cavalry. Wow. Okay.
Pinned him into the fight, so he got an initial advantage. But then, as we push past the flanks of the cavalry fight, it's looking not too bad for us.
Okay, so this is the cavalry with a slightly more colourful foot. So he's knocked a hole here.
Yeah.
You presumably knocked a hole there by the looks of it, or is that your? You've knocked a hole here. He's come through here. That's a right mess, isn't it? Yeah. That's a right mess. Ooh, that's tricky.
So that's not
he's in your flank. Oh,
that's looking not so hopeful.
That's not good. But here you're just racing forwards, aren't you? You're not even bothering to shoot.
Well, move and shoot.
Move and shoot. Just get in there. Just charge in. So all of a sudden. That's the one from a couple of shots ago. It's arrived from the centre, and suddenly, whack! It's in the flank. This looks so you've dragged this all the way across from here. Its commander's way over here. But do you think that one was just there to die, just to waste a bit of time, or?
Well, he's a reserve covering the gaps, and so he went over there to cover the gaps to stop the flank here being turned. So that's what the reserves.
That's what he's there for.
And then all of a sudden, boom, that's gone. Boom, that's gone. And then
He's
engaged.
Looking a little bit.
Suddenly you've got 2-3 proper units there, and that looks like that's taken a hit as well. So that must have been one that's gone.
Oh, and there was an embedded general.
There was the embedded general. Oh, let's have a look. Was he? Must have been. Maybe that must be the embedded general, I guess.
So as I say, it's like we were going to have the advantage. His initial charge, where he chose to charge rather than go back, gave him the initial advantage, but he pulled himself into a fight where he was going to
not do so well.
Flanked.
Okay, so I've still done nothing here really.
But that's the job. So
that's the job. I've kind of minched forward a little bit with these guys. This guy's pretending that he's going to go into a flank that doesn't actually exist. Nobody's really keen to commit here because I guess what I thought was these were bow armed samurai, so their shooting ability just basically stops when they're in the village. So they weren't keen to come in. They wanted me to come out. I wasn't going to do that. So very little was happening here other than we were just admiring this lovely tree.
They weren't keen to push in, and all you had to do was nothing. Which even with your level of competence, you managed to.
And the longer the troops are on table, the better value I get from having them professionally painted. Indeed. So that's all good. So, and this you're fighting.
Yeah.
Swords are swinging, and stuff like that. Nagging natas, if that's what they're called. Chopping heads, and one hit, 2 hits, not good on medium foot. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, and they've got the second string stuff there. You've got the overlap. This should be good, shouldn't it?
Yeah, it's all going rock and roll.
And this is the big hole cavalry over there that you may be turning the tables on, and there's not a lot happening in the middle. So, what on earth is that? Right. So all of a sudden, this general is on his own. Looks like you've done Sandal of Intervene. Chased him with the cavalry, hit him, slammed him, going to go into his flank, and this stuff's hanging on.
That continues to roll up the flank like we started off with.
Yeah. Well, your theory was to start off with, but reality wasn't.
Well, it's
working now, isn't it?
It's fine.
It's working now. So here go the cows.
Cows are in.
Fascinating troop type. Could be good, could be bad. At least, it gives them. And this was actually the only thing in the army that I painted myself. So that's part of the reason why I wanted to commit it as early as possible. Straight in there, and back to this pivotal bit between the cavalry and between the centre. Suddenly you've knocked a big hole there. Maybe that's a blue one. It might belong to him, so that might mean he's dead as well. You're taking a bit of damage because you should have done better there, surely.
Well, no, that's interesting. One thing I like about ADLG is it's not a game where you can win without taking risks.
Okay.
If you're going to make the omelette, you've got to crack the eggs.
Yeah.
And that's just eggs being cracked.
Yeah, and then I think you can, if you're being Japanese, you can make them into sort of a thing that's kind of like Japanese pizza, where they crack eggs into some weird noodle thing that they put. No, that's too much detail. Far too much for this time of night. So this is a proper fight, isn't it? They're nearly gone. They're nearly got. You've thrown in the reserves. Oh no, that's a samurai. But then he's turned the flank. This is just brutal. It looks like you're having a bit of a bad day here, actually. But or is that your? No, that's yours, isn't it? That's just rolling these guys up.
This is the end game for that fight over the fields.
Yeah, and you've still got the reserves. Okay, so suddenly
you're in.
I'm in.
You're fighting.
Finally, yes.
How did that go? Good for you?
I'm not entirely sure, but clearly the cows did nothing at all. So heavy infantry, swordsmen. This looks like the mad guys, the warrior monks. These guys have pushed forwards a bit more, so there's a bit of an overlap developing. But I think where I was at with this one, this was a bit of a lottery fight, but you'd started to win. So going into a lottery fight where you're going to trade off, this was the point you start thinking the enemy army is going to collapse before ours. So just by, if we swap casualties, we'll get to the break point, or they will get to the break point before we do. Here, you're back to. Do you remember this bit at all? Or was it a long, long time ago?
This is just
in a galaxy far away. Actually, look, you're not moving the reserves up, are you? So it can't have been too bad.
It's just tucking up the rest of his troops. It looks a bit messy because going into flanks and tucking up the rest of the troops for the game, really.
Okay. So this is my guys. So actually, looks like a great result there. We must have run over some mediums. Because mediums only take 3 hits, and if you're going in with two-handed cutting weapon men, you win by 3 on the dice or whatever, you get the extra hit. Suddenly you're blowing the three hits guys away with your 4 hit guys. This, clearly I just got lucky there. That's life, but you're always doing, or nearly always doing, extra hits with the two-handed cutters. Take a bit of damage here, but trade off here, and the cows clearly still done nothing at all. Is this still wrapping up the end of their cavalry?
This is the end of your fight. This
was the end of my fight. They had more cavalry in there. They must have had more stuff in the middle, more mountain in the middle. Yeah, slightly different combination to us. So this is always scary though. The medium foot, they're elite, so that makes them good. They shoot, so if they can damage the cavalry, but they could get run over. So these guys have obviously not done so well. This is the fight again. We're still throwing bodies in. This is pretty scary. Yellow, nearly gone. All the monks are nearly gone against some pretty robust samurai, but these 3-4 hit guys are starting to really flake out. Big hole there. So trade-off. This is a trade-off, but you're still winning. So trade 1 for 1, and we're still both getting to the break point, or they're getting to the break point a bit sooner than we are. This looks like you have brought the reserves up here to, and that cavalry's come back. So you must have won you've tucked up that flank completely by here, and suddenly boom, that makes the difference. Red hit, yellow hit, they're just being rolled up. It allows your poor quality troops to do quite well. And in fact, yep, there they go again. The flanks are. So this must have come out of the middle and driven in to support my guys. So suddenly you get that thing with the battle unzipping, that you've punched that hole, you've got spare troops who can come in and make a very, very big difference on that fight. And that must have been it. So you win on the cavalry wing after a bit of a struggle to start with.
I would say it's considering that we only seen the army 15 minutes before, I think our simple plan of we're holding them here because it's an equal fight. Oh look, we've got a bit of an advantage on this flank. So our simple plan of go strong where we've got a bit of an advantage. Once that starts working, going all along the line, worked lovely.
No, that's cracking. Good, excellent. And how's the beer going down?
It's gone down very well.
Oh, actually, yes, yours has gone really down quite well, hasn't it? Yeah,
that's quite quaffable.
Yeah, I'm still, still, it's getting a little bit more chewy towards the end, but it's still not got too much nasty taste in it.
Big thumbs up for the
hop stuff. Hop stuff for our session, probably good. Push eject IPA, I think it's probably still personal preference for me. I still don't really like these cloudy beers as much as the clean ones.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah, but
that's just taste.
It's still a decent one. Of a cloudy beer, this is one I could actually drink and probably imagine that it's not cloudy.
Okay.
So, damned with faint praise, I guess. So, onwards to that, and I wonder what no idea what the Japanese guy said, but Samurai, what does he think? Basically, I think he's saying we were lucky, really. We had 2 near identical armies. They went toe to toe, and we lucked out because we killed a general. No, I think no, that's just really unfair. Really unfair. I thought it was just.
Well, no, the fight on the flank, we had an advantage, and we pushed hard there, and we went slowly where we didn't have an advantage until the advantage paid dividends, and then pushed in everywhere.
Just nicked it. Okay, fantastic, good. Well, that's first game over. There's 3 more of these reports to go. Hopefully you've survived this one, and hopefully we survive drinking a beer on each of the other 3. And I think there's a bit of curry to come as well.
Time to put the barges in.
Time to put the barges in. All right, we'll catch you on the next podcast.